Ranked in Fortnite is fun, sometimes, but don't we have a little too much of it? Like really though, now it feels like every single mode in Fortnite has to have some sort of ranked equivalent, and with the recent Getaway and OG Zero build situations, sometimes it does more harm than it does good. Before we get into the video, as usual, blah blah blah, you know the drill, code ChuggaChug, no spaces, hashtag epic partner. Ranked Fortnite is the entryway into competitive Fortnite, with ranking up into higher ranks being the requirement to get into tournaments with the big dogs. It all started back in 2019 when we first got Arena. It was pretty fun. It was nice to grind Arena, you know, rank up, but we didn't really have too much to work towards other than unlocking tournaments. There wasn't the best progression. Arena was split into a few different divisions. There was Open League, Contender League, and Champion League, all with their own individual divisions that you would have to rank up. After certain divisions, at the start of every game, you would get a bus fare and it would take away points from you before you dropped into the game. Simple enough system. It had tournament rules, so anything that wasn't legal in tournaments wasn't legal in Arena, and it had Siphon.
You know, everyone loves Siphon.
Pretty fun. What could go wrong? Also, just as a side note, does anyone else remember Arena box fights? I completely forgot about that. Anyways, Arena also got a zero build version when that came out, and Arena was our ranked mode all the way up until 2023, Chapter 4, Season 2 to be specific. Then they switched out Arena for a different ranked mode called Ranked. Was Arena a cooler name? Probably yes. Okay, moving on. Ranked worked differently. Instead of being able to see your live points mid-game, it would all be collected and then calculated at the end of the game and then shown to you. Instead of having different leagues and divisions, you had Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, Diamond, Elite, Champion, and Unreal. And those would all have 3 different parts of it each up until Elite. And once you hit Unreal, you can't rank down. Ranked also now has different rewards for progressing through. Sometimes it could be a loading screen, it could be a glider that would change depending on your rank, pickaxes sometimes. It gives you incentive to play the mode, which is pretty good. I like that about it. But on the other hand, they also decided that instead of having Ranked have tournament rules in terms of its loot pool, it would have standard battle royale rules. And by that I mean, even if items weren't tournament legal, they would still be allowed in ranked, which sometimes wasn't that big of a deal, but in seasons like Wrecked, we all know how that went. Along with that, they did still keep the 500 material cap that Arena had, but in order to compensate, they also pushed the 500 material cap onto regular battle royale. It seemed like they were trying to get more casual players into competitive, which is always a good thing, but maybe they could have gone about it better. Oh yeah, they also got rid of Siphon because I guess they would have rather had no one have Siphon instead of give Battle Royale also Siphon. Unfortunate change. Rest in peace, Siphon. For now. Now, of course, if you play Fortnite, that's not where the story ends, obviously. There's more to go. Fast forward to mid-2024, and Fortnite launches its new mode called Reload. Reload is pretty much just, like, a faster-paced Battle Royale, and eventually that got its own ranked mode, Ranked Reload. Now, let me tell you, Ranked Reload is probably the best ranked mode that we have right now. Reload itself already has a very fast-paced competitive nature to it, so adding Ranked to it was perfect. In fact, it's so perfect that it's the best performing ranked mode that we have too. In fact, it tends to have more players than regular Reload itself. It also has a zero build version, even though that version isn't as much played as the regular one. Now, of course, this still isn't where our ranked journey ends, because we have Fortnite OG. Fortnite OG came out late 2024 around the launch of Chapter 6, and then also launched a ranked mode right next to it about a week later. Now, you think that a ranked Fortnite OG mode wouldn't be too bad. I mean, after all, Arena did come out in Chapter 1, so what's the worst that could happen? Well, a few things, unfortunately. First off, I don't know if this is just a me thing. I need you guys to tell me in the comments, like, if you experience this too, but I swear there is something wrong with matchmaking. Even in just Diamond lobbies last season, and this season, even in Diamond lobbies and Platinum lobbies, I could not find any games. Queue times were unnecessarily long, and it's not like Ranked didn't have the players when I tried, because it definitely did, but queue times just felt way longer than they should have, and I couldn't really get into a match. Along with that, for some reason, in Season 1 at least, whenever you would get into a Ranked game, it felt like the max amount of players was around 83 for some reason. I don't know what was up with that. But yeah, mix that in with the fact that we're still only in early Fortnite, kinda led to Ranked not having too many players. Although that could get better in later seasons, of course, because again, early Fortnite, late Fortnite, 2 completely different games at that point. Fortnite OG also has a ranked zero build version that has even less players, but we'll come back to that. Now, a few days after OG came out, Ballistic came out. Ballistic is a PvP mode in Fortnite, but it's one that's very different than the rest of them, because instead of being a traditional battle royale type mode, it's a 5v5 tactical shooter mode. Now, this mode is different because it was intentionally designed to be competitive. having Ranked be the main focus instead of the standard playlist. Now, it does have less players than most other PvP modes in Fortnite, but that's mainly because Ballistic is a complete different game than what we're used to, so it has a little bit more of a niche audience. But it's not a bad thing. It's not like you need 100 players every match to fill up, you only need 10. Now, recently, we had a bit of a situation. Ranked OG Zero build was announced to be getting vaulted due to matchmaking health concerns. I mean, no one's really surprised, but like, it definitely seemed a little concerning maybe. It kind of seemed like a sign that they were going to start to calm down a bit on the ranked modes, because we're finally getting to that point where we have too many and it kind of impacts matchmaking. Now again, they did say it could come back in the future, and maybe it will in the later seasons, again, once everything gets a little bit more developed, but it's very interesting to see our first mode disappear. Now, you think this would be where it ends, right? They get rid of a ranked mode that didn't have as much players, and they start to calm down on all the ranked modes. Wrong! We have Ranked Getaway. The Getaway came back from Chapter 1 recently, and they decided to launch it as the first LTM to get a ranked mode. It had ranked available in duos and squads, just like the normal playlist available in duos and squads. But wait! There's also zero build duos and squads for the mode, which means there was also zero build ranked for duos and squads. Now, this is kind of pointless because there's no progression rewards or tournaments, and it's temporary, so you don't even get to keep your rank at the end of it. LTMs weren't really made to be ranked. I mean, LTM stands for limited time mode. What's the point of making a ranked version of a limited time mode? Especially when the only two things ranked exists for, like I said, progression rewards and tournaments, is not going to be impacted by this. There's zero reason to play it whatsoever. Now, not too long after the Getaway came back, Fortnite silently removed the Getaway zero build ranked, so that is no longer in the game. But they did recently announce they were removing another part of the Getaway. Now you might be thinking, oh, of course, they're going to remove the Getaway ranked because there's no point in having it. Well, actually, you're probably not thinking that because you're a Fortnite player like me and you know how the story went. So they took away squads. This makes no sense. Squads is the mode for the Getaway. It's the one they always advertise. So the fact they took it away and left us with only duos and a useless ranked mode is kind of crazy. They said it was for matchmaking health, which is again shocking because that's the main mode. LTMs also don't have bots or skill-based matchmaking, so there's a very good chance that matchmaking did not really have that big of an impact. If the queue times were affecting ranked, don't you think they would have removed ranked instead? Out of all things to remove, squads made no sense. But nope, squads the Getaway is now gone, and now there's only duos and the ranked mode, and zero build. Also, just saying, we could have had the Getaway in solos and trios if we didn't have the ranked mode. Just throwing that out there, you know. Now this leaves us with another question. Is ranked bad for the game? Not itself, but too much of it could be an issue, as we've already started to see. It's cool to see them try to push ranked onto casual players a little bit more, because like, casual players getting into competitive Fortnite isn't a bad thing at all. In fact, that's a great thing. And it's cool to see them try something new with the ranked LTMs, but without progression or tournaments, it kinda just doesn't work and falls flat. I feel like what I would rather have is more effort be put into the current ranked modes that we have that affect the core battle royale stuff, instead of adding unnecessary ranked modes. Like, instead of the ranked Getaway, what about we work on ranked having a separated loot pool from casual? I mean, hey, we got Siphon back in ranked recently, so that's a really good step in the right direction. It's kind of the worst option they could have picked for Siphon, but I'd rather have the worst Siphon than no Siphon. Either way, ranked is still a really fun mode to grind, and I love grinding it. But I do just hope though that it gets handled a little bit better in the future. Then we can have a mode that everyone gets to grind and doesn't impact matchmaking health. And no, because I know someone's going to say it, I did not mention rocket racing, and I do not feel like mentioning rocket racing. Enough said. Roll the outro.